Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
We are here with the Widow's Bay Season 1, Episode 10 reaction and review. This is the finale.
hmm
We are left to linger until Season 2, which we thankfully know
hmm
is happening. Let's just start with a temperature check. We've made it through the entirety of this season. Of course, we
hmm
want to know from you guys in the comments, how are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Dear God, it's me, Jessica. I've just been out here getting bamboozled all season long by Widow's Bay, making me think that maybe there's people behind this, but no, it's been supernatural this whole time. All you guys in the comments that are like, it's supernatural, you were right. I am Team Supernatural. Welcome me.
I also just want to talk in broader strokes here because I really like to contextualize finales and episodes and seasons in terms of like everything else that is happening on TV. Like we've both been very, very high on Widow's Bay throughout this season.
Yes.
Like Jess was the first person who I knew who really was just like, this show, like this is 100% going to be the show. I think this episode's the best episode of Widow's Bay. I think
Ooh.
top to bottom, it is the best finale I have seen since the season 1 finale of Severance. It might end up being my favorite episode of the entire year. When things are, I spent a lot of time. I spent way
Wow.
too much time thinking about this because
Okay.
I love A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Like I adored that show. The
It was
finale
great.
made me cry, but I was also sitting back and feeling like that show, maybe it has better sound bites or better 2 to 3 minute segments that I will remember till the end of my life. But just in terms of everything this finale brought us, the
hmm
surprises, the
Yep.
emotional moments, it felt like there was not a single wasted frame. I went through a whole gamut of emotions. Like I have all of the faith in the world. Katie, I know you're not watching this video, creator of the I believe you could do anything. If you can clone yourself and also produce the next season of Doctor Who, because who knows who's doing that now, I would be grateful. I love this finale.
This finale was phenomenal. This whole season was phenomenal. This is the best new show of the year. It's not even close. I had a good feeling about it from even just seeing that little teaser that they had of the guy, welcome to Widow's Bay, and taking that big long walk around the lake. I was like, this is it. This is going to be the show of the year. I felt it in my bones. And they barely did any promotion for the show. They had a couple little sneak peeks, no trailer. Like it was just out there in the most minimalistic way. But it's so good. It's gained so much steam, and I'm so glad.
Yeah, there's just such a confidence behind the scenes with this show that like, they know what they got is good and they're
Yes.
willing to be patient with it. And that's what's exciting coming out of this finale. Like we have so much to talk about in terms of the information we learned through all of this.
Yes.
But then there's also questions as to what we did not learn, what season 2 is going to look like after a
Mhm.
pretty terrifying cliffhanger. But before we go any further in here, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have so much
Mhm.
good television coming throughout the summer. We are already in the midst of the Vampire Lestat on AMC this weekend. Speaking of Westeros and all of the various shows, we're diving back in. House of the Dragon season 3 is finally here.
We're also going to be covering Silo. You already have Apple TV. So if you're coming back for season 3 of Silo, we are going to be back again covering that show. And for those of you who've been with us for a while, if you're kind of wondering, like, where did the picture go? What's going on? Looks a tiny bit different. We're in the midst of remodeling our studio right now. So we've just kind of flipped things around while we're getting our studio together.
Yeah, so we are really excited to show you guys that once
Mhm.
it's complete. So
Yes.
stay tuned for that. But all right, let's just dive right in. Like there's so many different directions we could go with all this, but I think it fits to start with Ruth and Tom because that was the big
Yes.
tease at the end of episode 9.
Absolutely. Was he actually going to go through with maybe trying to kill her? And he kind of did.
Yes.
I mean, he saw that there was these two medications. If they got mixed, who knows what would happen? There was actually nothing written down about what was going to happen. Just don't mix these medications. And he actually mixed them up and put them in her tea, which
Yeah.
was really surprising. He was willing to go to that length.
One of many jaw droppers for me
Yeah.
in this episode, mostly because at first when he went in there, I was thinking, all right, he's gonna take her out, as like dark and grim as that seems. But then Ruth, every moment of Ruth, like Ruth was MVP. Every award goes to her in this episode. But her answer to the trolley problem, I have seen the trolley problem referenced in
Yep.
like 30 shows. I had it in my college philosophy class. It's all over the place. This is the best answer to the trolley problem I have
Yeah.
ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Like, there is a 0% chance I'm going to hear Ruth say that, and then I'm going to continue to do what Tom does. Like, I was sure she had convinced him, and this is why this show managed to just be so good and surprising.
I actually thought that she was going to give him true sight. When he first showed up, she's like, "Can I fix you a tea? It takes 27 minutes to steep." I was like, "Oh, here we go. I made it from herbs in my own garden." I was like, "Oh boy, okay, this whole episode is going to be a trip." And I love that this show does bamboozle me in that way, where I'm thinking it's going one way, and they're kind of like sprinkling these little hints that it could go that way from things they've done in other episodes, and then it doesn't.
Well, even throughout this conversation, there is that true sight element. It's still like in the back of my head throughout all of this that, all right, Ruth did not go to the shelter. She's still in her house. She's the last descendant, seemingly, of Richard Warren. Is she in there like doing some incantation? Is she in there like causing a ruckus? And like, that's not exactly the way in which they went about all of this, like, really at all. She's just a woman who wanted to share some memories and some tea and answer some of life's biggest philosophical questions.
Okay, so everyone that's been in the comments, we talked a little bit
Yeah.
about this possibility as well, that there was a possibility that maybe Ruth had a child and that child was Tom's wife. Because in that last episode where Rosemary went through everything and we got to Ruth, we were sitting here being like, wait, it's not Evan's mom? Like, it's not Evan? Evan's not the last? I feel like a lot of us out there felt like that has to be the final boss, where Tom is staring his own son in the eyes and unable to take care of business, and that it's just a completely different ball game at this point. So getting to this story with Ruth, I mean, even when they were in the kitchen, there's a picture of Evan on her fridge like she's his nana when they were first getting the tea together. And I was like, that's weird. Why is that there? And why is Tom okay with her having a picture of his son on her fridge? It's so strange. But when she finally got to all of it, she was just like, yeah, this is what happened. I hooked up with this married guy. I knew he was married. I got pregnant. I wasn't going to keep it. I gave it to them and they ended up raising her. And by the way, it was your wife. By the way, Evan is my grandson. It's like,
Okay, confession time here, because I have multiple confessions I need to make all at
Oh.
once. Starting with just the fact that about the 5-minute mark of this episode, I had completely forgotten about the possibility that, Tom's late wife could have been a descendant. I had just completely shoved it out of my head. Like, I know that we've had discussions. I know that
For
there were a
sure.
lot of theories out there. Like, I
Yes.
knew that existed, but it's just like you get so in on what you're watching sometimes, you kind of
Yes.
forget about the noise, and that does lead
Yeah.
to the possibility of being surprised. Another surprise, I didn't notice the picture of Evan when they went in. I was too transfixed.
It was so weird, man. There's like almost nothing on her fridge and then this big picture of Evan.
Well, this is what makes this show great. There's all of these like little Easter eggs or references or visual. I was still hung up on early on in this episode. We had a sign about human biting, and then we also had the doctor singing Phantom of the Opera. And I was just like, why are you doing? I was so like focused on all of these other things that, yeah, I didn't notice that. So when we got to that scene, yeah, there was that, oh, of course feeling. But at the same time, the delivery of it made a moment that was a little bit predictable somehow still surprising. And I love that. I love that a show can find a way to sort of twist itself around so that you can have your jaw on the floor for something that even a lot of people saw coming. It's just like the mastery of the writing.
Yeah, the writing for this scene was so good. Matthew's acting in this scene as the information is hitting him
Yeah.
and all the realizations are happening in his brain and it's just expressed all through his body,
Yeah.
not just his face. His whole body is reacting to this news. It was just so beautifully done. I mean, because it is shocking where it's like he has built himself up to come over here
Yeah.
to kill somebody who has been good to his family, good to his son, takes care of everybody in town. And you're still willing to take these two medications and crush them up and
Yeah.
put them in her tea for her to then finally just be like, by the way, I'm your son's grandmother, for all of those things to just wash over him of what he was about to do to her. I mean, it's overwhelming.
It also made me feel really bad in a way because I've been laughing so much this season at Ruth being at this job, not showing up until she's really, really late, barely doing anything. And I thought it was just the show being like, oh, look how old this person is. And now it's just like,
No, she's out helping Deidre.
I know. And now I'm just like, Matt, you are a terrible person because you were sitting here thinking all these things. She's out helping Deidre. She's only going to work so that she can feel close to Evan, which is just like such a sweet, heartwarming, also heartbreaking thing that she's had this secret that she's kept. And yeah, you mentioned Tom's wheels are turning and he has this instant moment. It's like, oh no, I can't do this anymore. What have I done? Is there any way that I can fix this?
Yeah, then in comes Bashir, and he's just like, you know what? I can fix this. My child is not going to be
Yeah.
born on this island while Ruth is still here. And I mean, that was legitimately shocking. I
Yes.
did not see that coming at all. Everything that happened with him witnessing what he witnessed with Patricia and the boogeyman, I mean, it clearly was enough for him to be a just true believer at that point. So Bashir, thinking that Ruth is dead, is trying to figure out who the last descendant really is when Tom is like, it's not her. Why did you do this? Stop. He's just like, who is it? I need to know who it is so that I can end them, so that my child is not going to have to be stuck on this rock for their entire lives. And then Tom like realizes he has stepped in it, is trying to step out of it. But, you know, Ruth is still alive at this point. So Bashir really is looking at two different situations of two different people that are out there. But luckily, the storm has cleared. So is there enough time? This is the big question for Bashir to get his wife on that boat and just get out of there. And he doesn't have to take out Tom's son, Ruth, anybody.
Well, this is the real question mark. And I think it really comes down to what Katie wants to do for the next season. Because,
Right.
yeah, you could move Bashir off the board here and just be like, all right, we're going to pick up. We have enough other tension elsewhere on Widow's Bay. We don't necessarily have to have this, but at the same time, Kevin Carroll is just too good of an actor. And like the material is that much meatier that lo and behold, he's going to find his way back to his wife. The baby is going to be there and he's just going to be stuck.
Yes. And then we're in a position where he has to work with the group to find an alternative way to deal with this, because I don't know who Tom is going to share this information with. Probably nobody. But if it turns out that the rest of the crew realizes something's just not right, or they're like, okay, well, obviously Ruth is still alive. And if she's still alive, then the curse isn't broken. That if we go into season 2 and she just dies of natural causes, but the curse is still not broken, then they're going to realize there's something more to dig into.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. And we're adding to it Tom as evidence throughout this entire season. He lies a lot, but the other problem
Yes.
is he's also really bad at lying. He's somebody who can get figured out. So I just don't feel like he's going to end up spinning this in the right way at all. Like eventually he may end up throwing somebody else under the bus who doesn't have anything to do with this. And like they are going to end up suffering the consequences. Like just with Bashir having to figure out how far he's willing to go. Like Tom's going to have to figure out how far he wants to go in order to protect Evan amidst all of this.
Or to protect the island, because at the end of this, you know, we have learned that as many times as the church bell tolls is how many people's souls have to be given to this entity, and there were 8 at
Yes.
the end of this. That is a lot of people.
That is a ton of people. And it feels like a lot of people are going to be finding out about all of this now, because this brings us to Dale, where thankfully Jeff Hiller gets some compelling material
Yes.
in this finale. Hopefully he's being set up for a lot bigger a role, because he listens to these tapes and he finds out a lot of this information. You know, it remains to be seen how many people he's going to tell all this to. Like the big
Right.
telling everybody is him just running out in the middle of a crowded room and just screaming for
I
everybody.
completely understand. Dale, if I was you and I had just watched what I watched, where it's like, here's one tape. Hey, you're the person that's going to be given to this entity. Here's this next tape. Hey, there's a group of your peers that have
Yes.
come together. I was like, a group of peers. At that moment, I was starting to feel like, okay, my theory of feeling like there are people in the town that are behind this. There's some evidence that's still going strong about this from this tape that's like, oh, a group of peers have gotten together and have chosen you
Yeah.
specifically for this entity. I'm like, who is this group of peers? But at the same time, that whole scene with the entity where you've got, Evan and PJ, and they're going down, they're into the room, and there's the door, and you've got Kenny in there, and everything that's happening with the entity and the door. Like, it just feels like it is not deniable anymore that this entity is actually just on the island. This is supernatural. It's happening.
Yeah, it feels 100% that the entity is real, that this supernatural stuff is
Who
happening.
are the peers?
That is the thing I'm the most curious about moving forward here. And this is what I do really like, is that there are some sort of rules associated with this supernatural element so that we do have this long-term mystery that's still been playing out here. Because, okay, let's just talk about unanswered questions for a moment, because there are a lot of them.
Yep.
It seems like Shep, from the very start of this season, we've talked about this, that he was on that chair, like he had the symptoms, especially when it comes to the light in his eyes.
Yep.
So there had to be someone who got him down there. There has to be someone who has a lot of knowledge of everything that's going on here. I mean, we can talk about the Reverend, like what really happened to the Reverend. Is it exactly as they made it seem?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like after, Dale watching this tape, there is a group of people in the town not controlling what the lore is and what's going on, but they know that the island needs to be fed. But my bigger question at this point has always been, why does our trio think that if they take out Richard Warren's lineage,
Yeah.
that that's it? Because it feels very likely that the boogeyman was, visited by the entity, and we all know
Yeah.
that Tom was, and he is not one of Richard Warren's descendants. So if Tom was visited and the boogeyman was allegedly visited, how many other people were visited? It's not just about the lineage, and they're not looking elsewhere, which is wild to me because Tom knows for a fact that he was visited by this entity. So he's got to think that other people were as well. And that is not just about Richard Warren. There's something that's bigger going on. So these peers, have they all been visited by the entity? My best guess is yes, because it feels like what Richard said is, yeah, I was visited by this entity. I had to give souls. I got what I wanted, and everything was gravy. And now you have a group of people with a whole setup in this bunker of like, we're bringing in cows to be fed. This has been going on a very, very long time, and now it's going on en masse. Like, a lot of people are going in. 8?
Yeah. It's really, really obvious to me that there is still people who are operating with this sort of MO. Maybe they're in denial. Maybe they think that all this other stuff is a smokescreen. Like, I 100% know that Tom is in denial of how serious this is and the desperation that's going on, because he should know that other people could have been in communication with the entity.
Yes.
But I think he's just repressing all of it, just like he repressed. And he even mentioned in this episode, he was warned by his wife about some stuff with the island. He
Yes.
just shoved that really far in because I think he didn't want to believe it. I think Tom just really wants to believe that he can take care of all the descendants of Richard Warren. Oh, I don't know how he's going to do that now, but that he can do this and then everything is going to be okay. But it just doesn't feel like it's going to be okay.
Okay, tinfoil hat, it's
Yeah.
all going to be okay. And this is how it's going to be okay for Tom. I think that in season 2, he is going to find a way to invite that entity back in, and he is going to make a different deal. And that deal will be that his son can leave the island. I had felt like he
Yeah.
already made that deal this season. Like I said, I've been getting bamboozled. by Widow's Bay. But I feel like he may try to find a way to contact that entity again to be able to make that deal. If this is way bigger than just Richard Warren's, descendants, especially since one of them is Evan.
Yeah.
He's not going to kill Evan, so he has to find another way around this.
Okay, here's another tinfoil hat.
Okay.
Here's how I think that conversation is going to happen. Here is Tom. Hi, entity. I would like Evan to leave the island. Entity. Well, okay, but I need 5 more souls in addition to the others that I already asked for. Like, I feel like there's going to be added stakes. Like,
Oh, for sure.
Tom's humanity is going to be tested even more. Is he going to continue to recruit tourists and then just like take the tourists out? And that's going to be sort of the mechanism to keep doing this?
And it very well could be. I mean, this is a story as well about what a parent will do for their child.
All right, so here are the other big questions I do have. And this is all tied to both Richard Warren, these other people who are operating out there, and the boogeyman, which I think is, I don't want to call it a misstep yet because it just feels like there's a lot more information that we could give, but they really have not spelled out very much, including, the allegations about whether or not that was a deal with the entity, but then also, all right, the boogeyman got free. We never really knew who freed them, who knew how to free them.
That was my most disappointing episode of the season, and it's only because they had really built it up to just end it that quickly in one episode. Yeah, we didn't learn how they got out, what's going on with them, are they a descendant? Like, it's all just kind of a nothing and it's over.
Yeah, and then beyond all this, what happened to the people who dug up Richard Warren? Because we know that there were a lot of people who did that.
Yeah, I feel like all these people that were with Wick at Richard Warren's grave, they gotta be the peers or part of the group of peers, which brings us all back to Wick again of how much does he actually know? Is he one of the people that's helping feed the island? Maybe this group of peers has not made a deal with the entity, and instead they're just like, okay, we know how to keep the entity from coming out and causing more problems. We give him souls.
Is this a situation where Wick knows a lot more than he's letting on to Tom and other people, and like he's being overtly malicious, or is he too trusting of his friends? And he sees Stu's out here acting weird, and he's just like, oh, that's just Stu. I've known him for 30 years. He's X, Y, or Z. I mean, is it an ignorance is bliss situation? Is this you're twirling your mustache behind the scenes?
Listen, his friends came out to help dig up a dead body. So, I feel like they know that Wick is doing some things that are not all right already. I feel like he's got to know something.
I'm just so satisfied coming out of this season because, we did get closure on a few different things. I mean, we do seemingly understand now the generations that are left from Richard Warren. We understand what sort of sacrifices are needing to be made to the island, those supernatural elements, which of course I was also in such denial about throughout a lot of this show, but then there's still so much untapped potential, and that is just why Apple, Katie, everybody else, just do 8 more seasons of this show, 9. I promise I'm not going to jump on board the bandwagon of, oh, this show has gone on too long, because that happens all the time. People love the new shiny toy, and then like 2 years later they abandon it. I will not do that here.
They did the perfect balance of leaving some questions unanswered, giving us some new questions for next season, but actually giving us answers at the end of all of this with Ruth, with, Evan's mom, with Evan, what the church bells mean, that there is a group of people on this island that are feeding into this entity. They gave a lot of answers, which I was really surprised by because we're also covering From, which is giving not a lot of answers throughout these seasons while they're building up to their final season, where I feel like we'll get lots of answers. But this is a first-year show, and they gave us a decent amount of answers where I could walk away feeling really satisfied.
And that's why I cannot be happier with this finale. Like, it literally gave us almost everything. It was very funny. It was really moving. Like, it was really scary. Like, it encompasses everything that Widow's Bay should be. If you know somebody who is not watching this show, go ring a church bell in their face. Like, they need to be on board moving into season 2. That is where we are coming out of the finale. Let us know What did you think about it? What do you think worked? What do you want more information on? Thank you guys so much for being with us all
Thank you.
season. We will see you here next time.